Can Michael Schumacher make it 3 wins in 3 races, or will Alesi be able to kickstart his championship campaign with victory on home soil? Find out in the 1994 French Grand Prix. Hello everybody and welcome to the 7th round of the 1994 season for the French Grand Prix here on F1 Challenge. The modern Magny-Cours layout is notable for its fast corners, with commitment required to find lap time. If you missed the last episode, I would highly suggest checking that one out before watching this one, as a crazy race ended with a spectacular incident at the very final corner at Montreal. Going into this round, Michael Schumacher leads the points table by 4 over other runaway championship contender Damon Hill. Engine failures for both Berger and Alesi has seen their title chances stall, although a good result today could bring them back into contention. No points in the past 4 rounds has seen us slip all the way down to 13th in the standings. After no points were scored by either Williams or Ferrari last time out, Benetton now reached to a 12-point advantage in the Constructors Championship over the British outfit. A podium last time out for Karl Wendlinger has seen Sauber climb up to 6th ahead of Larrousse on countback and just behind Ligier. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, as I want to try and hit 750 subscribers by the end of the year, and if you want to support the channel further, check out YouTube channel memberships for exclusive perks. Thank you to these people who have already joined. Now let's head into the news of the week. Hello everybody and welcome to the French edition of the news of the week. Let's get straight into it. Michael Schumacher nursed his Benetton around at the Ile Notre Dame to take his 2nd consecutive win, a whole lap over the surprises of Johnny Herbert and Karl Wendlinger, who left his Sauber's mechanics' hearts racing as he limped back to take his team's first ever podium. With no wings on his C13 after getting pile-driven into the final chicane by the brakeless Pacific of Berger and Alesi. There was further celebration in the Ligier and footwork camps as Yarvaleto and Morbidelli each nabbed vital points for their teams. There was heartache for numerous drivers and teams thanks to the reliability issues at the Montreal circuit, with Alesi's engine agonisingly blowing up while his Ferrari led by a whole tour. Williams lost Senna due to a brake failure before Hill's gearbox went, while both Jordans retired with suspension issues. Tyrrell lost both cars to engine failures, and Minardi also saw neither of their cars finish the race. That's from Flandre Wilson of the Motorsport Insider magazine. It was a race of the ages at Canada. It was just quite a shame that we retired early on with it seemed like we had a problem with the tyre wear in Montreal, a lot of the traction zones and braking zones putting a lot of strain on the tyres. If we preserve the tyres better in Magny-Cours, then we've definitely got a better chance of scoring points today. Panis pairs with Peugeot powered Larrousse. Peugeot have been mightily impressed with Larrousse in 1994. Now a solid midfield challenger and a consistent point scorer with Olivier Panis's car has meant that the French engine supplier will continue their support for 1995. Gerard Larrousse commented, extremely happy to the news. It is fantastic to finally have some stability running the team, and doing so with a French engine supplier is truly surreal. Olivier Panis also believes in the process, as he signs an extension deal with the team until the end of the 1995 season. Panis was quoted to say that Larrousse have really helped me in the first year, and I can really foresee the team pushing forward to the big guys. Larrousse are going from strength to strength, with their potential now higher than ever. It's great to see that Larrousse is doing so well. In real life, obviously by the end of 1994 they went out of business, and it's great to see that Larrousse could possibly go for many years beyond their real life status. Paul Belmondo replaces Bertrand Gachot at Pacific for the French Grand Prix. The 31-year-old driver makes his return following a stint at March in 1992. French reports believe that Bertrand Gachot could have raced at Magny-Cours, but the Frenchman has opted not to race instead. Belmondo is the official test and reserve driver at the team, but many have believed that this is a call-up with financial gain for the outfit. David Coulthard will be a good benchmark to measure up against after 2 years away. We shall see if he can perform at his home Grand Prix. Lamy to leave Lotus? One of the most shocking transfer rumours to arise this season is with the Portuguese rookie Pedro Lamy. The 22-year-old has impressed massively in his opening chapter in Formula 1, claiming his first career podium at Monaco and handily beating experienced Lotus teammate Aguri Suzuki. However, he may be dropped before the end of the season in spite of his performances. It has been no secret that Lotus have struggled financially in recent years, but now it has almost reached a breaking point. With Suzuki's seat safe thanks to the backing of Mugen Honda, it could be Lamy that makes way for a driver that can supply the team with sufficient funds. Well, this is the cruel business of Formula 1. At the end of the day, money talks, and if Pedro Lamy doesn't fetch the funds, then he could be out the door, which is quite a shame. If that is the case, hopefully he can find somewhere else on the grid to show his talent. Onto the upgrades now, where Benetton introduced new body panels to aid with higher top speed on the large back straight at Magny-Cours. Other teams including Ferrari and Sauber also fetched tweaks to reduce drag, but with modifications to the front wing. Jordan searched for pace in the fast chicanes by shaving off an estimated 1.5 kilograms in weight. Meanwhile, Mugen Honda released an all-new engine to allow Lotus to possibly score yet another points-paying position. Two drivers will receive grid penalties for this weekend's French Grand Prix. Heinz-Harald Frenzen's terrible debut season persists, with a 3-place grid penalty due to attempting an optimistic move on the Minardi of Jean-Marc Gounon, resulting in the Frenchman rolling over. He must qualify in the top 23 on the grid, or he will fail to qualify. Damon Hill's championship sees another falter with a 3-place grid penalty of his own, colliding with the lap car of Marc Blundell's Benetton on lap 41. That's all for the news, now let's head into qualifying. Hello everybody and welcome to French Grand Prix qualifying day, where Saturday is expected to be a nice sunny hot session. However, Sunday has a small yet possible chance of rain. Gerhard Berger, the first driver out on circuit, his teammate, it's his home Grand Prix. Hopefully he can do better than he has done in recent rounds, at least in the races. His qualifying pace has been immense, as Ayrton Senna can't go as quick as the Austrian, but Damon Hill, his teammate, can. He goes to pole position out of the three of them. Exiting the pits now, we're about 5 or 10 minutes into the session, and we're possibly looking for a decent qualifying session after quite a tumultuous practice session. As there we see up in the top left, Alesi absolutely blitzes all the times that we've seen so far to take pole position for himself at his home Grand Prix. Starting our first lap so far, as I was saying, I've really been struggling in practice, a lot of mistakes and a lot of just minor errors. As you can see there, clipping the grass ever so slightly, it's just caused our braking zone to be a little bit later, so much so that we've gone off at the 180 corner, slightly tapping the barriers. A slight amount of damage done there, but we should be able to carry on hopefully for another push lap. You can just see the massive lockup that we had into the 180 corner. It's the smallest of mistakes, but that's all it took to put us into the barrier. Starting another lap now, obviously that was not going to be representative, almost 9 seconds off the pace. Who knows, maybe it puts us ahead of one of the Simtex or one of the Pacifics. But here we go with another lap, 5 seconds up through the first two sectors across the line. And it's a 1:15.1, it's a decent-ish lap. I have been doing low 14s as a best time in practice, as we now see that Michael Schumacher goes to second place. He's within a couple tenths of Alesi, but in recent rounds, no one could even get close to Jean, so maybe the Benetton upgrade is proving useful. Ayrton Senna with a new lap, he only slightly improves ahead of Gerhard Berger, as there is Jean Alesi improving on his pole time to go to pole position by 3/4 of a second. My teammate Karl Wendlinger, fresh off his podium in Montreal, goes to 7th place with the new drag-reducted Sauber. Ayrton Senna with a new lap improves once again ever so slightly, now goes ahead of his teammate Damon Hill to move up into the top 3. He's now behind the two of Alesi and Schumacher, as we now see Jean Alesi on a 1:11.6. I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to that. We're already 3.5 seconds off, but we are down in 17th place, so we're going to need to find a lap in this next run. Through the final corner, it's kind of a tricky section to get right, but when you do get it right, it is quite satisfying to do. Through turn 1 now, flat out corner, we've missed the apex ever so slightly, and that's going to put us off balance in towards turn 2. That's wide, and into the wall. and that's us now losing a rear wing, and that is going to put our session in doubt. No spare car to use for this session, and that is going to put our qualifying session to an end. No higher than 17th place on the grid for us today, as we now see Damon Hill rounding the final corner. Can he challenge for the front row at least? It's no is the answer. He only goes to 4th place, which means that Jean Alesi is on pole position. No improvement from the top drivers has seen Jean Alesi cruise to yet another comfortable pole position, his 5th in 7 races, and his first ever at a home Grand Prix. Hello and welcome to race day here for the French Grand Prix at Magny-Cours. Let's look at the starting grid. Jean Alesi and Gerhard Berger make it a Ferrari front row lockout once again, with Michael Schumacher best of the rest in 3rd. He's followed by Ayrton Senna, Mark Blundell and Johnny Herbert in the top 6. Damon Hill with a 3-place grid penalty sees him qualify in 4th, but move down to 7th as a result. Karl Wendlinger completes the top 8, with Felipe Alliot in 9th and Rubens Barrichello completing the top 10. It's a decent qualifying from Martin Brundle to split the 2 Jordans, with Pedro Lamy in the Lotus in 13th, followed by Olivier Panis, newly extended contract at Larrousse in 14th. Yuki Arvoleto in 15th scores his first points of the season last time out in Montreal, with Gianni Morbidelli also scoring points in the Canadian Grand Prix, quickly followed by his teammate and ourselves all the way down in 18th place, a worst start of the season for us today. Olivier Beretta in the Larrousse is up next, followed by Aguri Suzuki completing the top 20. Then comes the Minardi and Tyrrell quartet, not quite because David Coulthard splits that 2x2 rule, with him in 24th behind Montemini, Katayama and Gounon. David Brabham makes it onto the grid for the first ever time for Simtek, with Heinz-Harald Frentzen a 3-place grid penalty putting him in 26th place, with Paul Belmondo's Pacific and Jos Verstappen's Simtek both failing to qualify. It's a one-stop strategy today, stopping on lap 32.
Hello there. Welcome to France. And the weather forecast for today? Well, unpredictable is all that can be said. It could improve, or it could just as easily worsen.
And by the look of those clouds, it's looking like it's going to rain at any moment. But here and now, there are the lights, and they are ready to go green. There's racing to be seen, and it's a decent start, not for my teammate Karl Wendlinger, who seems to have stalled on the grid as we challenge Christian Fittipaldi's footwork up the inside through the first couple of corners, round the outside possibly of turn 3, still side by side with the Brazilian. He holds it round up the inside, gets the better run. We clip the grass on the inside of the corner of turn 3 and we fall to 17th place. Oh, actually, we've gained a position. Here's Gerhard Berger looking towards the inside of his teammate Jean Alesi for first position. There's contact between the 2 Ferraris. My word, Gerhard Berger's nearly spun there. Ayrton Senna might make him pay the price for that, but it seems like the Austrian is safe for now. Can we look towards the inside possibly of Christian Fittipaldi? No, we're going to look to the outside. One of the footworks, that's going to be Gianni Morbidelli, who's just been overtaken by his teammate Christian Fittipaldi. There's a lot of wheel spin there. We've lost a place to Olivier Beretta, so this has not been a good start for Sauber whatsoever, as now we get a replay of what happened with Karl Wendlinger. He stalled the car, and he will be the first retirement of this French Grand Prix. He's only had one finish so far, and that was at Canada, and it was a 3rd place. Someone who had a great start, though, was David Coulthard. He overtook 4 cars there into the Adelaide hairpin, and he now moves up into 19th place, that is, for the young Scotsman. He's had a brilliant start, and he's now just behind us in the Sauber. The end of lap 1 now, and we're looking to make positions quickly. Looking towards the inside of Olivier Beretta into the final corner. A nice little move there and we now move up into 17th place once again. At the end of lap 1, John Alesi leads his teammate Gerhard Berger in a Ferrari 1-2. It's Ayrton Senna who's gotten past Michael Schumacher on that opening lap, as well as Johnny Herbert's McLaren has gotten past the second Benetton of Mark Blundell. Damon Hill stays as he was, with Felipe Alio, Martin Brundle and Rubens Barrichello all gaining 1 place each. Pedro Lamy, Yerky Arvoleto and Christian Fittipaldi each gained 2 places, the most in the top 15. As that's the 2 footworks colliding. There's Gianni Morbidelli getting all out of shape. I think there was a definite collision between the 2 footworks, and we're going to say thank you very much. Get straight past Gianni Morbidelli, and the Italian is relegated to 17th position. Next up is Christian Fittipaldi. Hopefully we can get past him in a short span of time. Through this final sector, we'll look to the outside, not quite. We'll try and get a better run through the corner. We're trying to take care of those rear tyres though, make sure to not burn them out too quickly. Lap 4 now, and is that spray coming off the back of the cars? I think it is beginning to rain. Let's see if we can see any spray down this back straight. We can see spray, so it is beginning to rain here in Magny-Cours. So the weather's going to play a part in this Grand Prix. It'll be interesting to see who can bolt on the intermediate tyres at the correct time. Oh, we're looking towards the inside of Christian Fittipaldi, apologies, as there was quite an unexpected move. I was just kind of wanting to get my braking zone right. He's just left the door open. We'll just try up the inside through the chicane, and that's now us up into 15th place. A very tidy move there as we aim to make somewhat of a comeback in this Grand Prix following a poor qualifying. Olivier Panis in the Larrousse is up next. On lap 6 though, Michael Schumacher's into the box. I believe he's the first driver to be into the pits in this race for at least a scheduled stop. Johnny Herbert, and I believe that's the Williams of Damon Hill. They're all in for the intermediate tyres. Let's see how this gamble pays off for them. Let's see where they also rejoin, most importantly. Michael Schumacher exits the pits. He was 4th when he joined. Where's he going to exit? 5th place. So he's actually kept ahead of the majority, if not all, of the midfield drivers. As now on lap 6, we seem to thrive in the more wet conditions, as we saw in the Spanish Grand Prix at least. As such, we are quickly putting pressure on Olivier Panis for his 14th position. We were in the slipstream of the young Frenchman. Can we make a move into the hairpin? We go sending it down the inside. There's Olivier Panis moving under braking, it felt like. We get the move done. There's contact between the 2 of us. It felt like he just drove straight into the side of us, but we gained that place. Let's take a replay of what happened. It did look like he moved under braking. It sent us a lot more deep than we were wanting to go, and he hit the back of us as well. So very strange defensive and offensive driving there from Olivier Panis. Yeah, he just drives into the side of us. A very strange incident there, maybe a lack of grip for the Frenchman. Either way, we're up into 14th place now, and we're looking forward to possibly trying to catch Yerky Arvoleto in the coming laps. Jean Alesi boxes from the race lead. Gerhard Berger opts to stay out, and as such he takes the race lead here in Magny-Cours. End of lap 7 now, and we're going to see several of the other midfield drivers into the box. Yerky Arvoleto very slow on those dry tyres in these treacherous conditions. We move all the way up into 10th place. Yerky Arvoleto in 9th, as we're there. We saw someone coming out the pits. Arvoleto possibly out of sorts through turn 2 and turn 3. That is the case. We get the switchback on the fin, and that's now us up into 9th place. Remember, we started down in 18th, so we're up 9 places in 8 laps. That's more than a position a lap, and now we've got a run on Rubens Barrichello in the Hart-powered Jordan. Can we look towards the inside as we did for Olivier Panis? We've gone sailing on deep though. The conditions are very quickly worsening in this Grand Prix, so much so that we've actually lost the place there to Yerky Arvoleto. So the place that we gained in the past couple of corners has just been completely undone. Ayrton Senna boxes for the intermediates. Gerhard Berger stays out yet again, and he'll continue to at least the end of lap 9. Jean Alesi carries on. No, he's on the intermediates, apologies, as he now moves back up into 2nd place. end of lap 8, and we decide to come into the pits. And we're doing an idea that no one else has gone for, as I've mistook the Ligier pit crew for the Sauber pit crew. We've decided to go onto the wet tyres rather than the intermediates, believing that it will get wetter in the coming laps and will save a whole pit stop. Doing so, we rejoin in 14th place as Gerhard Berger was into the pits on the end of lap 9. He rejoins in 3rd position, crucially behind Ayrton Senna's Williams, who has done a good job in jumping the Austrian in the pits. End of lap 9 now, and we see more drivers into the pits. This is very quickly going to shuffle up the grid as we get past Jarvaleto as well as several others. We now move up into 11th place. Philippe Alliot's in trouble, and it sounds like Philippe Alliot's going to have to come into the pits to retire the car if he can. He's trying to lap the Simtek of David Brabham. He's just been caught unawares there with a tyre wall. Maybe he had a lack of grip, or maybe he wasn't concentrating. Either way, that's Philippe Alliot out of the race from a possible points finish for the Frenchman. Consecutive points finish at that, following his decent race, 4th place at Montreal. He is out of this Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher is into the pits on the end of lap 11. He's deciding that the intermediates are no longer the suitable tyre in this condition, and he is followed into the pits by Damon Hill. He's in for the wet tyres, which is exactly the tyre that we're on. Yuki Jarvaleto in 12th position. He's got a good chance at points today, unless his engine expires, and it's done exactly that. The Renault power plant exceeding what it could possibly do in this Grand Prix, and he is out of this race. We're now catching Pedro Lamy at a rate of knots. We're on the wet tyres, and the Portuguese drivers on the intermediates. Absolutely no response from the Lotus driver, and we're up into 9th place. It sounds like Irvine's in trouble. Let's see what happened with the Ulsterman. He's also trying to lap David Brabham, as Philippe Alliot was a couple laps ago. Oh, and that's a collision there between Brabham and Irvine, and he's rejoining the track into the others of Christian Fittipaldi and his teammate Rubens Barrichello, I think that was. Let's see what happened with David Brabham. He rolls over, and I think that's going to put an end to his first race of the season, and that was a humongous crash there for Christian Fittipaldi. Oh, it's the same thing as Aida, and I don't think the stewards are going to look too kindly upon Eddie Irvine for that crash. Rubens Barrichello also caught up in the incident. Both Jordans out of the race. Eddie Jordan's going to be furious, and deservedly so. There is a red flag for that incident. Several cars strewn on the circuit, and we're going to need a restart. A couple hours later, and we eventually get the race back underway. We're now in dry conditions, so we'll see how this one plays out. The grid looks like this. Alesi starts on pole ahead of Ayrton Senna on the front row. It's Gerhard Berger completing the top 3, with the 2 Benettons of Mark Blundell and Michael Schumacher with that poor strategy call to start on the pit for the intermediates and then the wets. Damon Hill's up next with Herbert and myself up in 8th place. We made a brilliant start to the Grand Prix. We're up 10 places already as Martin Brundle and Pedro Lamy complete the top 10. Then comes Olivier Panis in the Larrousse, and Ukio Katayama, he's made a good start as well. He's up in 12th place in the Tyrrell. Then comes David Coulthard, Aguri Suzuki, Olivier Beretta, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Jean-Marc Gounon is the last and 17th driver on the grid. We've already had 9 retirements from this Grand Prix. And now let's get this restart underway. There are the lights up ahead, and for the second time this afternoon, the lights are green. There's racing to be seen. That's a poor start for one of the McLarens. That's got to be Johnny Herbert, as Martin Brundle and Olivier Panis got much better starts than us off the line. Try and get up the inside possibly of Olivier Panis. Not quite. He's got much better speed to carry the momentum around the outside, and we're now under pressure from Pedro Lamy. Gerhard Berger, meanwhile, is trying to get past Ayrton Senna as quickly as he possibly can. Ayrton Senna closes the door. There's contact between the two. Very stout defending there from the 3-time world champion. He keeps the place for now, but Gerhard Berger is going to be less than impressed with that. Up the inside on Olivier Panis to make that place up into 8th position once again, because it sounds like there's problems for one of the Lotus drivers, if not both the Lotus drivers. Oh, and that's contact between the two Lotuses. That's exactly not what the team needed. A golden chance after a chaotic opening stanza of this Grand Prix, and now one's going to need to pit to retire and one's going to need to pit for an unscheduled pit stop. Jean-Marc Gounon also crashes straight into the back of David Coulthard. He's careened into him, and Aguri Suzuki's received a 10-second time penalty, as has Jean-Marc Gounon, for their respective collisions. Johnny Herbert also had problems on the start. He stalled on the grid, and as such, he's out the race. Both McLarens out of this Grand Prix within the opening 14 laps. At the end of the first lap of the restart, Jean Alesi leads the way ahead of Ayrton Senna, Gerhard Berger and Michael Schumacher. Mark Blundell is in the top 5 with Damon Hill completes the points. Martin Brundle up 4 places, but we're up 10. We've had a brilliant start so far to this Grand Prix. Olivier Panis and Pedro Lami's opted to stay out so his teammate Aguri Suzuki can pit. The most places that a driver's gained is Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He's up 13 places following starting in 26th and last position for the first start. At the end of the first lap, we're just slightly being gapped by Martin Brundle. I feel like he's possibly on a lighter fuel load, so he's not entirely within our race strategy right now. As there's Gerhard Berger trying to get past Ayrton Senna once again, but he defends a little bit too late there, possibly moving on the braking there for the Brazilian. The following lap though, Gerhard Berger has no choice but to go up the inside, and Ayrton Senna has no choice but to concede, and Gerhard Berger once again re-establishes a Ferrari 1-2 at the front. Martin Brundle just starting to edge away now. He's 2 seconds up the road, but Olivier Panis behind. I believe he's on the same strategy as us. He's about 3 seconds back at this point. Jean Alesi lapping the first lap car of Jean-Marc Gounon. There's Gerhard Berger looking towards the inside, and he's had a half spin off the back of the Minardi, and Ayrton Senna is going to be laughing in his helmet there, as all that effort to get past him has just been undone by the Austrian spinning round. Lap 23, 3 laps later, and Berger is on a mission. He slides his way up the inside, and as such, Gerhard Berger once again back up into second position now with more lap cars in front of him, trying to lap one of the Tyrrells, and he's spun round again, and this has been a chaotic and terrible start to the race for Gerhard Berger. He now moves down to 4th place behind Senna and Schumacher, and this is not what the Austrian would have been expecting following such an impressive qualifying session. Once again into the pits for the first time following the restart. He's in on the end of lap 27, possibly on a 3-stop strategy from this point. And he exits the pit lane. Let's see where it allows him to re-emerge. I believe it's 6th place behind Damon Hill and Mark Blundell. It will be exactly that. This will be lap 27 for us as well. Martin Brundle 7 seconds up the road, and Olivier Panis over a second a lap slower than us at this current stage. It's been quite a boring race for us so far in this Grand Prix. Ayrton Senna into the box on the same lap as we just previously shown. He's in from 2nd position, and as such Michael Schumacher will take that 2nd position for himself. Gerhard Berger now trying to get past Damon Hill following his pit stop, and that's another spin from Gerhard Berger trying to get past a driver. And Gerhard Berger, I believe that's his 3rd or 4th spin already in this Grand Prix, and we're not even 30 laps in. Now we're 30 laps in, lap 32, and Michael Schumacher's in for his first stop of the Grand Prix, possibly a 2-stop strategy for the German. It could be a fight for 2nd place between Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher, should both cars be able to hold until the end of the race. Ayrton Senna retakes that 2nd position a couple seconds ahead of the German. We now are lapping Ukyo Katayama in this Grand Prix as Martin Brundle boxes for the first time in this Grand Prix. We now move up into 7th position in this Grand Prix. Jean Alesi boxes from the lead, but his lead was such a gap that he's re-emerged comfortably in the lead of the race. And that's Gerhard Berger without a rear wing. I think Gerhard Berger has bitten off more than he can chew in this Grand Prix on the back of Damon Hill once again. Is this going to be a similar incident to what happened just mere laps ago? It is going to be the exact same as what happened with a lap car about 10 laps ago, and Gerhard Berger out of this race, just overzealous when trying to get past the Briton of Damon Hill, and absolute impatience there more than anything from Gerhard Berger sees him retire from the Grand Prix and sees us now move up into 6th position. We haven't scored a point since the Pacific Grand Prix, and we haven't seen such a chance since the Pacific Grand Prix until today. Yukiya Katayama running well in 9th place, however a suspension failure on lap 40 is going to see him drop out the race from a possible top 10. Olivier Beretta will quickly... He has an engine failure just a couple corners later, and Olivier Beretta is also out of the race. Continuing on lap 40, and Ayrton Senna is into the box for his second stop of the Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher will quickly resume his second place status. Lap 41 now, and Jean Alesi still leads the way. He's leading by an impressive margin of about 30 to 40 seconds ahead of the German of Michael Schumacher. Ayrton Senna is in third, with Damon Hill completing the top 4. Mark Blundell with a quiet race, he's in 5th, followed by ourselves, who is also having a quiet race despite being 12 positions up on our grid position. Martin Brundle in 7th, Olivier Panis, Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Aguri Suzuki completing the top 10. Only 11 drivers left with over 30 laps remaining as Jean-Marc Gounon rears the field of those that are still in the race. Lap 45, and Jean Alesi is leading until that's another engine failure for Jean Alesi. 2 races running that the French Sicilian has had an engine failure while comfortably leading, and he is out of this race. Michael Schumacher, now the race leader, boxes on the end of lap 47. And now the battle that was between Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher for second place is now a battle between Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher for first place. Ayrton Senna takes the lead of the 1994 French Grand Prix, and if his car can hold up, possibly take his first victory of the season. Lap 45, we're tracking back a couple laps now, and we're into the box for our one and only scheduled stop in this Grand Prix. Martin Brundle got past us, and we are now, we actually stayed in 6th place due to Jean Alesi's retirement, but a couple laps later, Martin Brundle's into the box, and we quickly take our 5th place back, and that should pretty much be our race over and done with. Lap 54 now, and Ayrton Senna is into the box for the 3rd and final time in this Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher has no more stops to make in this Grand Prix, but where is the German? He's quite a way back following his second pit stop, and coming down the main straight that now Michael Schumacher down the main straight, he takes the lead of the French Grand Prix, but Ayrton Senna's only mere seconds behind the German, and maybe he can close down the gap and possibly take victory here today. Lap 57, and Ayrton Senna is all over the back of Michael Schumacher. I feel like it's only a matter of time until the Brazilian makes his way through into the lead of this Grand Prix as they now come to lap 1 of the Larrousses. That's going to be of Olivier Panis. And that's a collision there between Senna and Panis. Panis goes spinning off into the gravel. Some would say that he didn't adhere to blue flags, nor is Aguri Suzuki. Ayrton Senna will carry on, but that's going to harm his chances of possibly trying to catch Michael Schumacher before the end of the race. Heinz-Harald Frentzen with a gearbox failure on lap 60. He had a good chance of scoring a top 10 finish, but it all comes undone for the Tyrrell driver. Michael Schumacher with 5 laps to go, soaking up the pressure of Ayrton Senna, all the experience behind him, and is being able to cover the Brazilian off very nicely. Lap 69 now, and Michael Schumacher still leads the way by just over a second ahead of Ayrton Senna. It's been not an interesting race per se for Michael Schumacher, but he'll certainly take it to extend his championship lead. Michael Schumacher wins the 1994 French Grand Prix. Meanwhile for ourselves, it's our first points finish in 4 rounds, rounding the final corner for the final time, and it's going to be 5th place on the road, and a fantastic result, more points for the Sauber team. So then it's Michael Schumacher who takes his 3rd win in a row. He wins by just over a second ahead of Ayrton Senna. He claims his first ever podium for the Williams team, and Damon Hill makes it 2 Williams on the podium. Mark Blundell makes it 2 Williams and 2 Benettons in the top 4, with more points going the way of the British teams. Jaden Harrison, that's myself, in 5th with our first point since the Pacific Grand Prix, and Martin Brundle completes the points. Olivier Panis just misses out, with Aguri Suzuki and Jean-Marc Gounon the only other drivers classified. 9 drivers finished and 17 retired, the most recent of those being Heinz-Harald Frentzen with a gearbox failure, Jean Alesi retiring from the lead with a comfortable advantage over the rest of the field on lap 45, as well as Ukio Kaseyama with a suspension failure. We also saw many crashes in the race, including Gerhard Berger with that crash on lap 35, as well as the restart with Pedro Lamy and David Coulthard, and then obviously the massive one that caused the red flag in the first place, involving Irvine Barrichello Fittipaldi and David Brabham. Meanwhile, my teammate was the first one to retire with a clutch problem off the start. Gerhard Berger sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 12.603. What does this mean then for the Drivers' Championship? It means that 3 wins in a row sees Michael Schumacher's advantage at the top extend to 10 points ahead of Damon Hill. No points for either Ferrari sees their championship aspirations stall, now with Mark Blundell in between the two of them. Ayrton Senna, his first podium of the season following that 2nd place, moves up to 7th place with 9 points. Meanwhile for ourselves, we move to 10th place in the drivers' standings, 1 point ahead of my teammate Karl Wendlinger. We remain with 16 drivers scoring points this season. In the Constructors Championship, following 13 points accrued by Benetton in this race, it sees their championship gap extend at the top to 15 points ahead of Williams, and a further 15 behind is Ferrari in 3rd. Meanwhile for Sauber, we now move up to 6th place, level on points with Ligier. 9 teams have scored points, with Footwork being the lowest of those that have. Thank you ever so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to help me reach my goal of 750 subscribers before the end of 2025. If you want to support the channel further as well, make sure to check out YouTube channel memberships for exclusive perks like joining my Discord server and getting your very own sponsor board around the circuits. That's going to be all from me in today's video, and I'll see you next time at my home Grand Prix at Silverstone. Goodbye.